Welcome to the Think Fitness Life podcast, your one-stop shop for exploring the connections between fitness, health, and overall well-being. Join us as we dive deep into all aspects of a balanced and vibrant life, from pushing your limits in the gym to finding peace of mind outside of it. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting your journey, you are in the right place to discover the knowledge and insight to perfect your fitness life.
All right, welcome back to the Think Fitness Life podcast. From day one, what we always wanted to do is coach people and teach people how to be healthy, how to gain that edge to be where they want to be, to gain positions in their mental mindset, in their daily lives where they can live healthier lives and obtain the goals that they want. Because we all know we have goals. Every individual has different goals, especially when it comes to our overall health and wellness. We know of it, we're conscious of it, and we really do know the right things to do. It's the hard mental mindset to keep driving through that right thing every single day. So we're going to get into a lot of episodes now, it's solo episodes, or Matt and I will jump on together, really diving into what it is to kind of be healthier, how to get healthier. And it might reiterate some of the stuff we've talked about in the past, and that's okay, because some of this stuff doesn't change. Some of the stuff does change. And we're going to really help coach people and guide them with more and more opportunities to become better each day. And that's with different mindsets, with different nutrition plans, with different workout programs, with anything that we do as coaches to better our own clients. We're going to talk about on this podcast. So today, what we're diving into today is what people do at the gym is not enough. And what people do at the gym that hinders their results. Recently, I was just in a big Globo gym when I was traveling, and going to these gyms is a lot different. Now, we used to work in this setting of Equinox, big global gym, and I totally respect it, and I love the fast pace of it, but it's been a while since I've been removed from that sort of gym. And normally I have my own home gym built, so I work out at home, so I really don't have to worry about other people in the gym or navigating around what equipment's there. So when I was at this global gym, first time in a while, it's kind of fun taking in the scenery of what people are doing, what people want to do, what they're trying to achieve. Now, as most of these big box gyms go, your cardio is very popular. Your weight machines are very popular. And to my surprise, you do see a lot of people doing more free weight stuff, more stuff in the squat rack, dumbbell, free weights, a plethora of that stuff. But one thing, as I was sitting there watching as I'm in between sets and doing some work is what I'm noticing in between people's sets are people's approaches to fitness. And this is where, as coaches, we're always helping and trying to guide people to get more out of their workout hour or workout time at the gym, because we all have a set time that we go in for, and because we all have a set time that we get in the gym, we get out of the gym, we have things to do in our daily lives, and we don't want it to become a project. I'd never want going to the gym or working out to take over an hour. And Matt and I have talked about this for a long time. Anything over an hour, you're kind of not missing the point of the gym. It's like you really want to collect everything you're doing in that hour. You want to get in, you want to get your warm-up in, you want to get any conditioning or cardio in, then you want to get your weight training in, and you want to be done. It's not beneficial to stay an extra hour. Hormones actually will start dipping after about 45 minutes. So the bulk of your quality work is really going to happen in the first half an hour. But yet again, we know people have lives outside of the gym. They don't need to be in there for 75, 80, 90 minutes. That's a long time to be in the gym. When you also consider travel time to the gym, shower time, all these factors that add into, okay, what is built around a workout? So with that being said, when I was looking around, I feel like the biggest thing that people do that hinder their results in the gym is the time spent. Now, we used to see this all the time at Equinox when you're in between sets of exercises or in between. At first, before smartphones really became popular, people would sit there and watch TV or watch the newspaper. But now it seems to be a big problem where people are just scrolling on their smartphones or going onto some sort of website or app to pass the time. Now, one of my big things, and I know people listen to music, is just leave the phone, right? And leave the phone in the locker because it becomes a distraction. And we've had talked about in previous episodes how big phones can really cause disruption, procrastination throughout our day. And in the gym, it's really no different unless you're using it for music. When I say like put that thing in airplane mode or put that thing in a mode where it's do not disturb and just put music on and go. Because you don't want to be distracted by texts, by calls, by any app notifications. And we know that we get a lot of those app notifications. So the one thing you do see people, you look over, they'll get done with a set and they're going to sit on that machine or bench or whatever and text away. Now, okay, maybe you can make the argument if you're a power lifter or Olympic weightlifter that you need 2 to 3 minutes in between sets. But most people aren't that. The average person take 90 seconds to a minute in between sets and get into the next set, right? So you can go to a machine and you can literally get 3 sets done in under 3 minutes, depending on your time and your tempo at that machine. And then we have another thing that us trainers love to use and strength coaches love to use, supersets. You get done with one exercise, boom, go right into the next exercise. So you might hit a squat, you might do 7 reps of a squat, boom. Once you're done with the squat, take 10 breaths. All right, we're into push-ups and do your 10 to 15 push-ups. Then you can rest 90 seconds to a minute and then you're back on the squats. Therefore, you're getting 2 exercises in about, let's say 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how many sets you're going to do. Of that is going to be done in the work. And there's 8 to 10 minutes, you've already done 2 exercises versus where you see people squat, they'll sit down, they'll text for 2 minutes, and then they get ready for a next one and they squat again, sit down for 2 minutes. The time wasted in a gym to me just seems crazy when you're starting to look around and see people and operate at this slower tempo. Now, there's not everyone. There's some people doing other things, but the majority, when it comes to people that are lifting weights and resistance training, it seems to be this long 2-3 minute rest period that seems to get drawn out. Now, that might be built in from people like, oh, I read this in a magazine. You need 2 minutes of rest in between sets. Okay, that's great. But for full, let's say for full ATP replenishment, like you're going to need that. But most exercises that people are doing in the gym are more volume based. So they're doing probably 8+ reps of these. You're not going to get full ATP replenishment, nor do you really need that because your main goal is to drive cellular damage and metabolic stress. So you're going to run on lower ATP stores. That's just how it's going to go. So when people say, oh, I need 2 minutes to fully recover, it's really like, for what? Like, you're not going to be sitting here competing in a powerlifting competition or a weightlifting competition or doing something where that 2 minutes is very crucial. Depends on the lift. If someone's in there and they're at 90+% of their squat, bench, deadlift, hang clean, snatch that's okay. Take your 2 minutes, fully recover so you can hit the next one. But if you're doing cable flies, you really can do 10 to 12 reps, rest 30 seconds, and go into do another 10 to 12 reps. It's actually going to benefit you. And I think that's where a lot of people, they miss the benefit of running a faster pace workout because they're taking too much time in between. So you get on a machine, or you get on a machine, get on a bench with dumbbells, you might rattle 10 to 12 reps out, rest 30 seconds, do it again for 2 to 3 more sets. So you're going to get 4 sets in a matter of 3 to 4 minutes. With that, you're also going to challenge your conditioning system because it's now got to pump out ATP faster because you're giving less rest. Your heart rate's going to be up. So you're going to be using a little bit more myocardial oxygen uptake. So you get more of a benefit out of your workout. Now, with that, you're able to fit more in that 60-minute window if you're at the gym. So instead of just going in and doing 5 exercises that takes you an hour because you're resting long or you're waiting, start really increasing the tempo of doing sets and reps, because when you do that, you're going to get overall more volume in. And when you get overall more volume in, you're going to get more adaptations to happen. So if you're someone who's looking to increase lean muscle mass, you get more volume in, you get more stress, that the body's going to adapt and put more lean muscle mass on. Same thing if you're working a conditioning, whether you're working intervals or not, like that shortened rest is going to drive a greater adaptation. And that leads to greater metabolic increase. So when you get a better metabolic increase, you're telling your metabolism, hey, we can increase and we can work at a higher output, therefore burning more fat at rest as you have more lean muscle mass in lean body mass. It's a win-win. So that's number one that I see when you walk into a gym is people are taking too much time sitting around and wasting time. It's one of those common things that I know maybe people don't like to go to the gym, and we're outliers here. I love to work out. Sometimes I run my tempos too fast for what goals are. There are days where I have built in, hey, we're gonna rest 15 to 20 seconds. I take 10 to 15 breaths, and we're hitting the same group again. Or if your big compound lifts, you get, okay, I'm gonna do 2 squats. I'm gonna rest 30 seconds, do another 2 squats, rest 30 seconds for 5, 6, 7 sets. Right there, I'm accumulating a lot of volume in these clusters while also challenging my heart rate. Then I might rest 2-3 minutes, do something else, come back and do that again, because I'm getting a full benefit and volume shoved in to that workout instead of doing 3 sets of 10, resting 2 minutes in between and not taking that 2 minutes to do something. Really what we want to do is make your time efficient. So something that might take you 60 minutes, you might now start getting done in 40 and 45 minutes because you're jamming more in that time frame. And a couple things can happen. If it takes you 45 minutes, you have more time to do more, if that's you. If you don't, it's like, hey, I just got everything done in 45 minutes and workout feels good. I feel good. Go home, get some nutrition in, or go to work. You have more time now on your hands. And it's really, when it comes down to working out or daily life, it's like, how can we maximize time efficiency and not feel like we need to spend hours in the gym to get an optimal goal? Now, I think a lot of people do that. And I was one of those people back in the day because I threw a lot of exercises in my program. If you look at some of my older programs from when I was in college and a couple of years out, I would do 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 exercises in one day. And that's not even considering a warm-up. And we're doing probably 4 to 5 sets of each with no supersets. And just think how long that would take me. There'd be times in college, I'd be in the gym for an hour and a half. Then I would add cardio on top of that. So the whole gym thing became a 2-hour project. Now here I'm thinking, okay, this is just standard, but something's got to change, because when you're in the gym 2 hours, it starts getting long and it drags out. And like I said earlier, there's really no benefit from a hormone standpoint post 45 to 60 minutes. Testosterone really peaks at 30 to 45 minutes and then starts to decline after that as cortisol raises, because you're putting a lot on the system, and it just keeps, you're adding what we call junk volume in on top of that. That's not really pushing the needle for an adaptation further. You're just saying, okay, it might be lightweight, it's junk volume, but am I really driving something that's going to change my body physiologically? And when we start looking at that, we start thinking, okay, how do you get a big dose of physiological change or physiological stress to create change in a shorter window? Take your time away, add more compound movements. You can add supersets, add trisets, do more of a circuit-like training to acquire some of these effects by putting more stress on the body. And some circuits or some of these training sessions might be only 33 minutes. Some of my worst but best workouts from a conditioning feeling standpoint were 33 minutes long. Pick a certain amount of exercises, 30, 40-second rest in between, and you're going through and doing a set amount of reps, and then you're moving on to the next exercise. And then after one full circuit, you might take 3 to 4 minutes to fully recover, and then you run the circuit again 3 to 4 times. So it's really about efficiency when you go to the gym, because if not, you're going to miss the opportunity to create a boatload of physiological stress on the body, which in the long term is going to hinder your results. So a lot of people are looking to, okay, hey, I want to put on muscle mass. I want to lose weight. I want to lose fat. And they're going in the gym and they're not optimizing the time in the gym, because they're wasting more time recovering. And all of a sudden their hour might be up and they have to go home or they have to go to work, and they're going, well, did I really get enough out of it? Now, on the flip side here, another thing I think that happens is I think people think that is enough. When they're in the gym and they're doing, let's take it, your traditional bodybuilding chest day. We did 4 sets of 10 on the bench press. Now we're going to go incline dumbbell press. Now we're going to go do a seated chest press and some cable flies and finish with triceps. You might think that's enough, but in reality, it might not be enough at stimulating a full body physiological stress. Now, yes, it'll be enough from a chest standpoint. It might be that the first 2 exercises, the bench press and the incline, is enough to drive a physiological stress to increase muscle mass of your arms and pecs. Then a lot of people, what they have to do as they go further in the workout, they're going to have to drop the intensity of the weights because their body's already pre-fatigued. Now, that's going to drop, the intensity is going to drop. It might drop the quality of reps you're getting from a physiological stress driver standpoint. And those chest flies might not be as efficient as if you did them the next day when your chest is fresher, but you might add 10 to 15 more pounds. You get more metabolic damage and more muscular damage when you add more weight. And this is where we come to the conversation of talking about frequency, of how many sets and reps per muscle group per week are you actually getting in. And with the old school bodybuilding kind of way, you're limiting the frequency to once a week. Now, we've said it many times before on this episode or on this podcast, bodybuilders can get away with that kind of workout regimen because they're on anabolic drugs. They are on drugs that allow their anabolic window to stay open, and they can maximize growth from one chest workout, where your average person who's not on anabolic drugs is not going to get that stress dose response because the growth factor of hormones is just not there. Yet we all do it at some point. Is we start doing these bodybuilding programs where it's chest one day, legs, shoulders, back, and you're just throwing a lot of volume at the body, but really no adaptation occurs in the later part of the session because you're already fatigued and those muscles might not be pushing at 100% or a higher rate of contraction to get more damage, to get more out of it. Therefore, switching things up or you could do an upper body focus day and throw some lower body in, but you might do an upper body focus day 2 to 3 times a week with some lower body thrown in that day. And then on the lower body focus day, throw in a little bit of upper body that you didn't do the day before. So now you get more frequency in during the week of muscles being used, and then you get more of a physiological stress adaptation to drive out of it. So that's one way that I think a lot of people can learn from wasting time in the gym and just sitting around texting on phones and scrolling through apps. There's a lot of time in between sets that you can utilize and benefit, even if it's throwing in some ab work in between a compound exercise. It keeps the heart rate up, it keeps the body moving, and it kills 2 birds with 1 stone because you don't have to worry about sitting around and then waiting to get to the ab exercise later.
Looking for personalized workout plans? Whether you prefer to train at home or hit the gym, try a 14-day free trial of the Think Fitness Life mobile app. Get customized workouts, nutrition guidance, and coaching from a qualified professional who will be in your corner every step of the way. Visit www.thinkfitnesslife.com to start your free trial today. That's www.thinkfitnesslife.com.
So as I'm going through the workout, and I run a very fast-paced workout, this particular day, I was doing more Olympic stuff to start with some supersets and then some upper body supersets. And what I got in probably 30 minutes, there were some people just finishing their squatting and going on to something else. So it's within that 30 minutes, they get warmed up, I get warmed up, I do my Olympic complex work, some overhead work, move on to the bench and rows, and then some other things, some posterior chain work, some arms, and that person finally walks away from the squat rack. And when you're watching it, now I don't think anything's wrong with it, but I'm watching the individual take time in between their squats and kind of really not utilize, for the sets and reps they were doing, not utilize their time efficiently. Therefore, they might go off and have to do more quad work, but they've already exhausted 30 minutes of their workout through just one exercise. So that's kind of a big thing I noticed of going to kind of global gyms, and I've noticed that before, but now really getting on here and helping people when they do go to those gyms to not waste that time. If you set your clock or your stopwatch when you hit the gym floor, warm up, get the work in, should be done at 60 minutes. A lot of people that I mentor and I client, a lot of people who I mentor or my clients that are on online programs or programs that I give them on their off days, I always ask, how long does it take? And if they're over 60 minutes, I say, you got to cut it down. Or once you get to that 60-minute mark, you got to shut that off. Because it teaches them, if they are at 60 minutes and they are one series behind and they don't get to the last series, they're going to learn that they got to pick the pace up in between. Or they need to understand where they're wasting time, because when I write programs and I basically figured out through writing programs for many years how long that this program's going to take. And all my programs are about 60 minutes. Maybe they might finish at like 50 to 55 minutes, so you have 5 minutes to cool down. But I know how my blocks work in the sets and reps, where people should be at certain points of that hour. So if someone says, hey, I was one series behind and it took me 72 minutes to finish, I'll go back and say, okay, well, where did this extra time come from? Where did you lose 10 minutes? And then that person might say, well, I took extra long to warm up here. I spent 25 minutes to foam rolling here. Then as you deconstruct their program, you say, well, why did we take that time? Because you always kind of want to know, okay, why did someone take that time to do it? And teaching them and walking through that time is valuable, because if you don't have extra time at the end and you have to go, that's time that you missed out on driving something that's physiological adaptation. I think the main thing going into a gym in anyone's case is, what is the best way to drive a physiological stress on my system? Foam rolling is not going to do it. So as much as like someone's like, hey, I really liked foam rolling, it felt good. To me, I don't care, because it's not going to drive a stress adaptation to create a change. Foam rolling is not going to help you increase your metabolism to lose weight. Foam rolling is not going to help you increase muscle mass to help you lose weight. Foam rolling is not going to help increase muscle mass to get you stronger. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is a recovery tool. Great. Do it at home. But in the gym, it's really time to work. So when going into the gym, your attitude looking at it, as soon as you walk through those doors, warm up, and then, okay, it's on. We're getting it done to the best degree to really stress the body to think, how do I create a change? And that's really how to utilize your time in the gym. And hopefully people start looking at that a little bit differently. They start saying, okay, I have 60 minutes. What's going to best maximize my time and also get me a good sweat, make me feel good? Because I think that's a big driver of it. So when people come up to me at the gym and they're asking me what I'm doing because they see me moving at a faster rate or sweating, or one of my things lately I've been doing is taking an exercise for 10 reps, 10 breaths in between, going another 10 reps, 10 breaths, another 10 reps. So I'm keeping the weight the same. I'm decreasing the amount of time for recovery. So I'm driving more metabolic stress and metabolic damage for increased muscle mass growth. Also keeps my heart rate up, and it's efficient for what I like to do. And that kind of flows into the next one I see at the gym a lot is intensity. So when you're looking at, I want to say looking, when you go to the gym and you have that intent to move with intensity. Now in weightlifting, intensity is the weight on the bar. And I know a lot of other people like to call intensity, how intense is this workout? And I think there's a lot of times where you're looking at people in the gym and their workouts just don't look that intense. And I think there's a big opportunity missed by a lot of people where you look over and it probably should look like they want to almost kill someone or punch someone in the face, because they're at that intensity where they're like, this sucks. My body doesn't feel good. I'm pushing it to the limits, but we're here. I think a lot of people need to understand that to get to those levels, it's not easy to get there mentally, because you do have to push past the uncomfortable feeling of, okay, we're going to go there. But I think it needs to be done at least 2 to 3 times a week, depending on how many times a week you work out. If you're going to the gym 3 times a week, you need to maximize those 3 times and say, hey, these need to be pretty intense workouts, or part of the workout needs to be intense. So you could take the first 20 minutes and say, hey, we're going to be really intense here. We're going to really hit it hard. And then the next 40 minutes can be more moderate. I think where a lot of people miss out on their results is when they go to the gym, they don't ever get into that intense zone. They get into this low or moderate zone of intensity where they're just kind of, I won't say going through the motions, but they're doing their ability, but they're not pushing it to failure. And one way to kind of to look at intensity is if you're taking an exercise, take it almost till failure. Or if you, how about have, or you take it to failure, or you have 1 or 2 reps in reserve, RIR. So you take an exercise and you're at the point where you're like, well, I really don't know if I can get another rep. That's the feeling you kind of want to get to on some exercise. It depends on how many sets and reps. If there's 2 reps, you're probably the second one's going to be slower on the speed. It'll feel like that. That's okay. If 2 reps goes really quick and you're like, and you get out, you say, okay, that was kind of easy, I could probably go up. It's probably not intense enough. Or on the flip side, if you have something like 8 reps and now you're getting to rep 6, 7, 8, and that speed is starting to slow down and you're starting to grind through those, that's where that intensity is really starting to increase on your overall system. And a lot of people need to train in those ranges, not just doing 12 reps. Okay, I got to 12, got a little bit of a pump. Maybe I need to do more. And I think people start adding more in because they go moderate to low intensity reps, then they feel like they don't get much out of it. Where on the flip side, if you go in and it's 3 sets of 10, every set of 10 should be an absolute battle. That's all you got is 30 reps. And that approach now, lately I've been going to a lot more just to change things up, to see in training for time efficiency and just to see where that drives the system, because I've always been a 4-set person. You get most out of 4 sets because a lot of times people take that first set almost as a stepping set, or I want to call it a warm-up set, but the intensity will start off gradual and then it goes up set 2, 3, and 4. And you also get more efficient from a neurological movement standpoint. So I've always liked 4 sets, but on some of the accessory work, and sometimes if it's just, hey, this is still accessory work I do with, and then sometimes on the main stuff, if I'm saying, okay, I have 3 by 10, I need to do a warm-up set, but I won't count that warm-up set to a working set. Then I'll put the weight on for the first 10 reps and go to 10 reps almost where 8, 9, and 10, I'm getting to failure and I'm like, holy hell. Then I might rest it, pair it with my superset, and come back to the same weight or a little bit more and do the same exact thing. So for 30 reps, I'm getting the most out of those 30 reps. And then when people look at that, like total rep range or total reps done, I think it becomes a little bit more clear than just a 3 by 10. So if you have 30 reps and that's all you have for the day and you got to make them count, most people are going to make them count. But a lot of times I think people think, oh, 3 by 10, I'm going to make that last set really hard. And then we go, well, maybe I didn't get as much out of it. Where if you make all 30 reps challenging, and at the end of the 3 by 10, that 9th and 10th rep, you're grinding through, I think that's a good spot to be in. Especially if whether you're advanced or you're just average gym goer, that's where you want to aim. And it all depends. If you're doing 5 reps, you might go more sets because total volume, you might want to add more. And there's nothing wrong with doing a 5 by 5 or 6 by 5 because you're still going to get 25 to 30 reps, or 3 by 10. The only thing that's going to change is the weight that's used, but we still want to push the system till almost failure. And I think that's the most important part, is how intense are we going, and then keeping that intensity throughout the whole 45 to 60 minutes. So ideally, if you do have that time, that's perfect to go intense. If you only have 30 minutes, well, then it's going to get a lot more intense. And I think that's where it becomes more of a priority. If you have 30 minutes in the gym, you want to maximize the most out of it. It's probably going to get intense really early, really quick on in that session. Then it could taper off the last 10 minutes. It depends on how intense you go the first quarter to 2 quarters of that 30 minutes, if that's a 30-minute. Where a lot of times I think people, they might start lower intensity then gradually build to moderate intensity, and then they're kind of into their accessory work, and then they leave. So kind of another thing noticed in the gym when going into it, it's where's that intensity? And I think a lot of people kind of, they don't know. And I think that's why we're going to sit down and talk about these things, because not everyone's an exercise physiologist. Not everyone's a strength coach and a personal trainer and understands the physiological adaptations from the body or all the systems and how it work. And you always have to step back and kind of remind yourself that as trainers, we're looking at people when, hey, they're out there, they're just trying to get it done and trying to really improve themselves. So here are those tips to help improve. And they're from an intensity standpoint, and it's going to kind of roll into my next kind of, and we're going to talk about intensity, and it's going to roll into my next observation when we went to the gym, is taking some of the lower level exercises, whether it's your bicep curls, tricep, lateral raises, rows, stuff that's maybe at your end of your workout, your accessory work, your auxiliary work, and adding more intensity to that stuff. Because when I was at the gym and you see people hoarding weights, and I think that's another pet peeve of mine as a trainer, and you go to the dumbbell rack and the 20s and 25s and 30s are all gone, and you look over and there's one individual that has a pair of 20s, a pair of 25s, and a pair of 30s. It's like, please, like, have gym etiquette. So if you are listening to this, like, really have that gym etiquette and don't take 3 sets of dumbbells because other people. Now, that being said, this next kind of style, you're not going to need 3 sets of dumbbells. You're just going to need probably that 1 set, and you're going to add more intensity to it to make those dumbbells act as if you had 3 sets. And I think that's where a lot of the accessory work can get kind of fun, and you can actually get a nasty, intense, almost conditioning effect out of it, is if you take that combination of what I said earlier about 10 breaths, higher reps, and you push it to failure. That can be done. So let's take bicep curls. For instance, you could do 15 bicep curls and then hold an isometric for 10 seconds at 90 degrees and do another 15 reps. Hold at 90 degrees and try to get another 15 reps. So you're going to get 45 reps in the next probably 90 seconds. And by the time you're through that first set of 15 with that isometric hold, you're going to need your full body to start moving those biceps, because it's not just going to be isolated work. Now you're going to start to pull the heart rate in. Now that heart rate's going to increase because your body's going to need more O2. Get to the next 15, boom, hit that isometric pause, and then you have the last 15. At this point, arms are going to be screaming, so you're getting metabolic damage, metabolic stress, mechanical damage, and you're getting a full body training effect at the same time, all within 90 seconds. You could put those weights back, go to a lighter weight to do it again, or you could rest and do it again, or just move on to another exercise, because you got 45 continuous reps in, and you're making use of your time, and you're creating a overload intensity within that 90 seconds to 2 minutes of continuous work that's going to, whether it's your biceps, triceps, back, it's going to put damage in a good way on your body to induce muscle mass, and then induce hypertrophy. So that's what we want. And yeah, I said increase muscle mass, hypertrophy. If you're also someone who's looking to lose weight, you get that through increase in metabolism by increasing muscle mass. And you increase the heart rate and myocardial uptake by increasing the intensity of that and making that a longer circuit. So if you're a minute plus, you're now going to tap into your aerobic work with weights that's intense. Your heart rate's going to drive up. So you're going to get into the anaerobic energy system while trying to run aerobic at the same time, yes, you're going to increase caloric burn. You're going to increase everything the system needs to do because it's now under more stress in a good way. You're dumping that physiological stress on, body's going, what the hell is happening? I need to adapt. I think those are very, very good tools to help people just have a little fun at the end. And instead of being like, oh, well, I have 3 more things I have to do. I have biceps, I have rows, I have lateral raises. Take those 3 things, put them in for 3 minutes. Now you increased your time efficiency, you've increased the intensity, and you're going to get one hell of a pump and sweat going as you're going through. And you can pick rep ranges that can vary. You can hold, you can walk with weights. Another fun one I like to do is whether it's triceps or biceps, and then do farmer's carries in between. Increase that heart rate and go right back to it without putting the weights down. Barbell complexes or dumbbell complexes are very, very fun tools to use at the end because you can accumulate a lot of volume. And sometimes it doesn't have to be heavy weights. You can accumulate a lot of volume to drive more overall system stress. So even if you're someone out there that's listening and say, oh, okay, well, I do my bodybuilding routine and I like what I do my arms, my back on one day, that's great. All this stuff can be taken and applied to bodybuilding to drive more muscle mass increase, right? To kickstart some different satellite cells to say, hey, we need to change because there's a different stress, right? After a while, the human body just needs a different amount of stress to induce a change. So we're taking that and saying, okay, here's a different stress. We got to adapt and grow to it. We can put on more muscle mass. So this can work for anyone, but really it's about not letting the gym, what people aren't doing in the gym, hinder their results. The next one that comes up, this is a big one, and you see it at every gym. It's the cardio section. And cardio, look, I would say, to preface, cardio is important. You need cardiovascular work. It's great to have for heart health. But from a weight loss standpoint, I think this is where people get it wrong because they choose cardio over resistance or weight training more. So let's say someone works out 5 days a week. They're going to do 3 days of cardio and 2 days of lifting. That's great, but that might be too much cardio rather than lifting if they're trying to lose weight. And you always see the cardio sections packed at big box gyms. It's the easiest way to get a sweat in. I think that I understand that people do get runner's high from it or cardio high, and it's just easy. You can run at a certain pace. It's still work, but it's not that hard grind of resistance training or circuit training unless you're doing some sort of sprints or you're really getting after a treadmill. I think that can be shown to help as well. And intensity, if your intensity is up every day, I still think that's great, not taken away from it. But I still am a firm believer that too much cardio, when it shifts, people will get in trouble. Now, they can still lose weight. And here's what we're getting to in here. When people are trying to lose weight, they go in a caloric deficit, which drops the amount of calories, which you need to do if you're looking to lose weight. But then they also start going into high amounts of cardio, which from a hormonal standpoint drives a more catabolic muscle breakdown effect in the body because the body is going to use fats and use carb, and it's going to use that stuff as energy substrates to increase cardio. And the body doesn't need a lot of muscle mass if it's trying to be efficient at running, cycling, whatever cardiovascular event it is, you name it. The problem with that is as you go cardio and caloric deficit, you're going to see weight loss right off the bat. Great. But then your body goes into adaptive thermogenesis, which actually slows down your metabolism to catch up for the lower intake of calories and a higher output of calories or output of calories from cardio. And our bodies are about efficiency. So with cardio, a lot of times people will start, if they're not already training cardio, they'll start with cardio and they'll get into it. And the first couple of weeks, they'll see good results. They'll see some weight loss, and then it'll start to slow down and stop. The body's becoming efficient. If you're running 3 miles every day and that's your cardio event, or you're doing 45 minutes steady state cardio, your body's going to get efficient at using less calories to run those 3 miles because it's becoming more efficient at using energy substrates. Might be a small amount, but if you don't change the timing, the intensity, or so if you don't change the volume or intensity, duration, your adaptations are going to slow down. You're going to start to hinder because you're not progressively overloading your energy system to challenge. So if you're doing 3 miles for 3 weeks and you haven't changed that, it's hard to expect to change. So I think a lot of people go in, and when they're doing cardio, they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go run for 3 miles today. And the next day, like, okay, I had a good sweat. I felt good. I'm going to go run for 3 miles the next day. The issue is you're not pushing the needle of any sort of change if you don't increase the speed or you don't increase the duration of the mileage to further push. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck in that cardio world, is because initially you'll see results, but then as your metabolism starts to even out and you get the adaptive thermogenesis, your metabolism slows, and people are like, well, I'm still doing cardio, but no needle of progress is pushing. People get discouraged, and then people end up falling off or quitting, or they're saying, well, I'm doing all this work. I'm putting in the work, but nothing's changed. This doesn't work. They start changing things, or they fall off, and their system goes back to where it started. And it's tough to see, because we don't want people to fail. We want people to listen to that and understand and go, okay, if I've been running 3 miles every single day, I need to change something in order to kickstart metabolism even more. Now, here's where our recommendation comes in. Just add resistance and strength training to it. As simple as that. You might go 30 minutes of cardio, 30 minutes of weight training. Boom. In a circuit-like style, like we talked about earlier, where you're doing supersets or 3, 4, 5 exercises in a circuit to keep that heart rate up, that is going to be your best bet. Now, on the cardio side, the same thing. If you're doing 30 minutes, that has to kind of be measured. Whether it's 30 minutes on an assault bike and you get 5 miles in, that's pretty slow pace, but make sure you're getting a little bit more the next time, or you change apparatus. So one day you do an assault bike, the next day you're going to do 30 minutes of rowing. The intensity changes different modalities. You could do a Stairmaster, a stair stepper, elliptical. Things change, but if you're doing the same exercises over and over again, you're going to have to change that speed or the length. And if you're limiting yourself to 30 minutes, you can then change the speed within. And another way you could do that 30 minutes, you can break it up. I'm going to say, hey, we're going to do 4 minutes hard, high intensity, 3 minutes low intensity, and repeat that 4 or 5 times. Might not get you 30 minutes, but by the time you get 4 or 5 times, you're going to be ready to hit the strength training, and you're going to get an intense conditioning effect, and you're going to be burning more calories because you're at a higher rate and changing the system's response to different amounts of stress. And if you do cardio or conditioning 3 days a week, you can have a day where it's higher intensity, lower intensity, and that third day can be a little bit of both. Could be moderate, could be high, mixed in together. But if you're just going at that long, slow duration intensity 3 times a week and expecting to lose weight, it's going to be a lot harder to achieve, especially if you're in the caloric deficit. And that's one where a lot of people get caught in is they start cutting calories and going to cardio, and they're actually losing more muscle mass. They're losing fat and muscle mass, but when they lose muscle mass, your metabolism slows even more because your body just lost lean tissue. And we never want to do that. That's why we always preach, get a good strength training program going. Or if you're doing 3 to 4 days a week, combo it, conditioning and strength training. It's okay to do a day of complete conditioning. It's okay to do a day of complete strength training. And I know it can scare a lot of people when we say strength training, because people think to what I said earlier. Okay, I have to go in and just do a leg day, an upper body day, and so on and so forth. But that doesn't have to be the case. Pick 5 upper and lower body exercises combined. So it might be 3 upper, 2 lower, and run that in a circuit. You can switch it. You could pick 6 exercises, half and half, upper and lower, run that in a circuit. You can set timers to do, you can do every minute on the minute. You can do 10 reps, rest 30 seconds, go again. You can do however you want to break it down. Just keep moving for the prescribed circuit. You can take your recoveries once you get done the circuit, 2-3 minutes to replenish, but it's really about keeping that heart rate up and keeping the weights at a good resistance so you're pushing lean body mass. And the last thing we're going to get to on this topic of strength training is the light weights have to go. So light weights, if you can do more than 15 reps and you're not fatigued out, probably time to pick up and go to heavier weights. Research has shown that the ideal amount of protein turnover is about 10 reps. So you're going to get most damage at 10 reps with a weight that you can handle 10 times. If you're one of these people that's out, I'm doing 30 reps at super lightweight, that's not doing anything. It's not pushing lean body mass increase. You're just kind of going through the motions. Yeah, it might drive a little heart rate, but if you do it 30 times and you're not swearing or struggling, then it's too light. You're actually not going to push any physiological change. And I think that happens very often when it comes to things like these lighter weights that are prescribed in some cycling classes. Like there's just not enough mechanical tension to drive a change. That's why some classes you're going to have to do things in duration of holding weights up and out. But at that point, same thing, you're just now creating more of an isometric position, but you're not actually driving muscle mass increase, because muscle mass increase, you're going to need lengthening and shortening contraction. So just a couple items that when you walk into a gym, when I walked into that gym over the weekend, this is what I observed. This is what I had thoughts on. Wrote them down so you all can learn from what a strength coach sees when they go into the gym and what they're thinking about and how to help other people become more successful to get to their goals just by adding these small tweaks in, maximizing your time, increasing that intensity, and maybe changing your relationship with cardio and weights a little bit more to push that. Now, of course, all this conversation comes with a sound, complete nutritional diet. I think that's obviously the biggest thing that needs to happen outside of the gym is being spot on with your nutrition. We will get into a lot more nutrition talks about having that plan going forward coming out of the gym. Well, that wraps us up for today. You can find us at thinkfitnesslife.com. We have online programming. Matt and I have been coaching for over 10 years on this. We've been running in-person training, online training. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, reach out to us. Anything about nutrition, mindset, exercise, we're here to help. You can check us out on Instagram. Handle is at thinkfitnesslife, and on TikTok. Check us out for content. We have postural content. We have exercise content. Everything you need to understand how to become better and how to increase your health day over day. Till next time, Think Fitness Life out.